Hey folks, I'm Ted Cantu with HotMetroFinance.com. I'm back with Rabbi Steve Lover from Strategic Shifts right here in Southfield, Michigan, and we're talking about memes and frameworks on the last clip. Now we're going to be talking about environments and how that can, changing your environment can actually help you reach new levels in personal and business development as well. So, Steve, tell us a little about environment and how that can help people.
Sure, Ted. Last time we spoke about frameworks and important those inner things. Now, the opposite side of the same coin is your environment. So if you want to know how things are going inside, look outside.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things mirror each other. A little bit into the attraction question you really asked at the end of last session also.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to something I always heard. We're surrounded by what we create.
Yes, okay, but even without getting to the creation piece of it, let's say we attract it. There's things that fit with our life.
Mm-hmm.
Our mind always wants to make our body right. We do things that fit into the frameworks in life, and we create things around that. We attract things around that that fit that.
Mm-hmm.
So if a lot of the stuff in your life, the stuff is breaking, there's a reason for that.
Mm. If stuff, whoa. I mean, if stuff breaks, like, what do you mean, like physical things?
Sure, things break on a constant basis. You're always going to fix them. There's something about those things that are fitting into your mindset, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you don't fix them on a regular basis, there's something about you accepting the environment the way it is also.
Hmm.
Now really, the environmental work is really exciting because, as we said last time, the game is played on the internal game, on the internal struggle, on the internal piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is the environment always wins.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that.
Hmm.
I know of a coach who had a woman who he was working with, and her big game was to become financially independent.
Mm-hmm.
And one day he asked her, tell me about your 5 closest friends. And she said, they're all very nice people, wonderful people, I love them very closely.
Mm-hmm.
He said, tell me about their financial situation. Oh, they're all dead broke.
Mm-hmm.
So coach turned to her and asked her and said, what's the chances you're going to ever be financially independent if your 5 closest friends are dead broke?
Mm-hmm.
And she thought about it and she said, you know what, you're right, never.
Mm-hmm.
Now this girl picked up and moved to a different state because of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would never suggest that.
I've done that.
I wouldn't suggest that as a necessary answer,
yeah.
But to find some new friends that would create a better environment would make a huge change.
Wow.
And so, for example, if we took that same woman and we made her 5 closest friends to be Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Donald Trump and Michael Dell and Paul Allen,
mm-hmm.
it would almost be impossible for her not to become financially independent.
Yeah.
So the environment is a huge way to make growth happen. An environment doesn't have to be colossal, like I just said. It might be something little. I once heard of a salesman that wanted to work on getting his degree, chartered life underwriter, it was a CLU, for an insurance agent, and he just couldn't get himself up in the mornings. They kept him. So he decided he needed to make a change, and what he did was he made an environmental change. And what was the environmental change? Instead of just setting his clock at 5 o'clock in the morning to go off, he put a clock in his room at 5 o'clock, and he had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. In the next room, he put one at 5:02 in their room. When his clock got up in the morning, if he didn't immediately bounce out and go shut off the other clock, it would wake his 1 and 3-year-old, which would in turn wake his wife, and he would have a lot of problems.
Oh, yes.
So now the question was, do I want to roll over, or do I want to get up and go turn off the other clock? That became easy environmental change for him. He got up and went and turned off the clock, but once he was up, he stayed up and did his study, and he got through a CLU that way. So that was the environmental change. And the truth is, there's 9 environments of a person. There's memes, and that's your thought process, your ideas, what you're exposed to, ideas, the magazines you read, the books you read, the movies you watch. That's memes. Second one is yourself. It's the environment of you, who you are as a person, that changes and moves. It either grows or diminishes every day, and the environment that you create around yourself, of yourself, has a very big impact on you. The third one is your body. It's your physically, how strong you are, how well your body's working, how healthy you are. That is an environment. Fourth is financial. We don't need to say more. It's just about how you interact with money. And the fifth is physical. So that would mean your home, your car, your office. What do things look like? If your clothes is nice clothing, fits you well, you're comfortable with them, if you drive the kind of car you like, if you have the type of house you like, if you sleep in the type of sheets you want, if you use the type of physical environment, it might be your backyard, it might be a number of things you do in places you go. Then on top of those 5, there's your network, the people you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's your relationships, which is much closer to the network and what those relationships are like. There's your spiritual environment, and then finally there's your environment with nature and how you interact with nature. Mm-hmm. And typically when there's an issue in one of the areas, there's an issue in all of them. It's interconnected. And we find one that we can make a change to, and we can do something for it to make that environment pull a person to success. It ends up creating a whole different mindset. And just to give you an idea how that really works in real life, let's say somebody wanted to lose weight, right? And so we could go the regular route. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about your thoughts. But we haven't done anything about the environment. And we've all had, well, maybe not everybody listening, but many of us have had that experience of losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight. What would happen if we took somebody, instead of working on all that inner stuff, we use an environment, and we say, you know what, our goal for you, the big game we're playing is we want you to run the 26-mile marathon. So we're not going to get involved in food, we're not going to get involved in all the in stuff directly, but we can go indirectly, and we want you to run a marathon. Well, if we start getting you ready to run a marathon, doing all those things, what happens to the weight automatically?
Disappears.
It's going to become a byproduct of what we're working on because we change the environment. The environment now has now created a way to do things and to make things happen that pulls us, not pushes us. And the difference between pushing and pulling, think of a string on the table. Would you rather push it to a new destination or pull it?
Pull.
Yeah, because if you push it, it's not going to go. It doesn't go. It's very hard to get it to go anywhere. Because you pull it, and that's kind of the idea, is the environment pulls a person to that success. So now if we take the thing we discussed last time, frameworks, and we work on that inner game and that internal issues we want to do things with, at the same time, we make some external environmental change that pull us to success. What ends up happening is change becomes a relatively painless and exciting process that can happen a lot faster than we ever thought possible.
Wow, that is so cool. That's very inspiring on so many levels too, because you could apply that principle to just about different areas of your life.
Any one of those 9 environments, you can take the idea of memes. And by making a change to some of the stuff you're reading, by making a change to some of the people you're networking with, by making a change of some of your physical structures around you, or your body, or your finances. Huge.
Wow. Wow, that is awesome. I want to hear more, and I'm sure you guys do out there too. Steve, what's your website address?
It's www.strategicshifts.com.
Okay, and Steve, what's your phone number?
248-200-3488.
Wow, thank you so much for being here and taking time to talk to me, because I do find this very, very fascinating.
Great, and, it's been my pleasure.
People need it out there, so this is great info. Thanks
so
much.
My pleasure.
Okay, thanks folks, keep watching.